Hi kids, I'm Jeremiah. Have you heard of me? Many know me as the Weeping Prophet because I cried a lot about the rebellion of God's people. But my name really means God will exalt. God wanted to exalt his people from their sins. He called me to be a prophet when I was very young. My work has not been easy. I have preached to 5 kings without success, and I have begged the people of Judah to repent and return to God. But unfortunately, they have had to suffer the consequences of their rebellion. It's a pretty sad story. Do you remember what the prophet Isaiah told King Hezekiah after he showed the Babylonian ambassadors all his treasures? Right! Isaiah prophesied that after Hezekiah died, those treasures would be taken away to Babylon. Well, guess what? A little over 90 years after he died, that's exactly what happened. King Hezekiah did many good things, but his son Manasseh was one of the worst kings Judah ever had. He was a bad example to the people, and soon the whole nation sinned with him. They no longer wanted to know God's law or repent of their wrongdoing. Almost all of them worshiped false gods, even in God's own temple. I spoke out boldly, reminding everyone that God loved them and wanted to help them. Every day, I stood in the temple gates, preaching warning after warning. But no one listened to me, not even Jehoiakim, the king of Judah. The priests were angry with me too. Yes, I know it's hard to believe, but these priests, these supposed leaders of the people, also did bad things and polluted God's house with idols. They also mocked and hated God's messengers, like me. King Jehoiakim was the ruler of Judah then. He had only been king for 3 years, but he was a really wicked king. He even rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. Well, this made Nebuchadnezzar mad, and he attacked Judah in 606 BC. It was the first of many attacks from Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar took away Judah's precious treasures and captured the royal princes of Judah. He took our best youth, the most intelligent, those who know science and math and languages. And guess who was in that group? Yes, you're right, Daniel and his friends were in that group. It was a hard test for them, but they learned to trust God's promises and remain faithful, even while captives in Babylon. Well, the Babylonians didn't take everyone. So, back in Judah, I kept preaching to those who remained. I told them that because of their rebellion, God would destroy Jerusalem completely, and they would have to live as captives for 70 long years. Anyway, Jehoiakim died, and his 18-year-old son, Jehoiachin, was made king of Judah. But he was no better than his dad. And then, a short time later, King Nebuchadnezzar attacked again. He and his soldiers laid siege to the city of Jerusalem and took 10,000 more people into captivity. All the soldiers, the artisans, the brave, the strong men, women, and children, and even King Jehoiachin himself. Only the poor were left in Judah. And Zedekiah, the uncle of Jehoiachin, was made king. But he was wicked too. You know, God has always had a remnant. Those few who obey him, even when all the others turn away. And during this time, it was no different. The few righteous still left in Jerusalem wanted to protect the sacred Ark of the Covenant. So in the midst of the attacks, they hid it in a cave, so Nebuchadnezzar wouldn't take it with the other treasures. It was also well hidden from the other people of Judah, and because of their sins, it would never be returned to them. Finally, Nebuchadnezzar made a third great attack. He was tired of the constant rebellions in Jerusalem, so he broke down the walls and all the buildings, and he burned everything. Nebuchadnezzar captured the last king of Judah, King Zedekiah. His sons were killed before him, and then he was made blind. As the prophet Ezekiel had said, Zedekiah did not want to see or believe God's warnings, and so was taken away blind to Babylon as a prisoner. What a sad and shameful end for this king, and for all of Judah, all because they refused to listen to the voice of the prophets and obey God. You know, children, disobedience always brings ruin. Bible prophecies show a destruction that will come in these last days before Jesus returns. The world is becoming more and more disobedient. God needs brave young people to stand up and warn others of the coming destruction. Spiritual Babylon has blinded many, and so they need to hear the last call of mercy. God will exalt you if you humble yourself before Him and accept being His messenger. Be faithful to God, and you will be part of the remnant that will be under God's care. Goodbye, friends.